Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football. Welcome to our reaction show, as it is Monday, and I mean, lots of good games, lots of exciting talking points to talk about. And joining me is a beaming Gaurav for obvious reasons. Gaurav is like smiling; he's got this big smile on his face. But welcome back to the show, Gaurav. Nice to have you again.
It's good to be back here. Right.
Yes, yeah, and of course we've got Nishikant as well joining, and Nishikant smiling as well. And he's still got that backdrop defined as he's got that backdrop. But Nishikant, welcome as well to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we don't have others today, so it's okay to have the background. Nobody's gonna complain. All right, let's get right into it. Let's start with let's start with the obvious one. Let's start with Chelsea against Manchester City. I mean, it was a good game. I've heard. I didn't see it. Maybe it was a mistake not to watch it, but I didn't watch it. You know what? We always keep saying Pep Guardiola overthinks things in the big games, but Nishikant, did Thomas Tuchel do the same? Did he overthink it in this one? Three defensive midfielders, only two strikers.
I think he was partly inspired by the Tottenham performance because that's the exact midfield that played the second half against Tottenham. So probably he thought that that would work. Unfortunately, in every game before this one, the last three that we won against City, we played 3-4-3, and Mount used to mark their pivot, whoever Rodri or whoever used to play. This time, a change in formation and I think a new formation against a City team, that was a tactical mistake, and it looks like Chelsea were playing defensive. I don't think Chelsea set out to be defensive. Man City was just so good. They re-established their title credentials. For if anyone was ever doubting them, for me they were still the favorites. But I mean they completely dominated, and that caused Chelsea to play the way we played. It wasn't as much as that we were trying to be defensive, rather than City pinned us in our own half most of the times, the way they played. So that's pretty much what it is. But yeah, I'm not too bothered. That's why I'm laughing. I mean, if there is a good time to lose to Manchester City, it's in September. The season has just begun. Nothing is decided yet. And I still think the team is pretty good to compete and challenge for the title. And that hopefully will be true, will come out to be true. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have.
I mean, at the moment, they're still level in points, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think because it's
still because thanks to thanks to United and Liverpool.
Well, thanks to Liverpool. No, United. I don't think United should be in any title conversation anytime soon. But anyway, we'll come to that. We'll come to United. We'll continue with City. Gaurav, I think finally Pep breaks the Tuchel curse, if you will. Is it a curse? Or some kind of hold that he had, but he broke it. Again, he went with this one CDM in this one, but I think Bernardo Silva did the job that he needed to do as the box-to-box kind of role that he was probably important in this one. Just maybe he had instructions from Pep, maybe he knew. Basically, he's got to be that second midfield man.
Yeah, he is, and I think he's a really versatile player. He can naturally is a attacking midfielder who has played on the right wing most of his career, but he has been playing that center midfield role really good. It doesn't have that big frame and really bulky someone in the PIA to it, but he does the job really well.
Yeah, you know what? We all said that maybe he'd start Riyad Mahrez, and he didn't. He started Gabriel Jesus in this one, and he popped up with the goal. Again, as I keep saying this, for a player who's shit and who doesn't score goals, he scores goals. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's like inconsistency perhaps, but I mean, if you just look at his stats, they aren't that bad. Like
that's what I said in right? Like his goals and assist stats are really good, but it's the number of chances he has missed last season. He missed the most number of clear chances last year. Euro.
I think it's that Haaland syndrome, isn't it? When everybody else you compare with someone, you compare with Aguero, everybody else looks small, but it doesn't mean that they're bad. That's what I think with Jesus. Every time I see Jesus and I look at him, he scored a goal, he's got an assist, so he does something. So I mean, I guess
there has to be something in him for Pep to show his.
Well, players sometimes have favorites, managers have favorites sometimes that are inexplicable, but in this case it's justified. I think he's definitely a good player.
Also works really hard. He likes to track back, so kind of Pep kind of player. So maybe it's better.
For sure. Well, I guess the only other thing I mean to talk about in the battle of the 100 million men, is it fair to say that Jack Grealish has come out on top? Well, maybe ask Gaurav.
I don't think so. Okay.
No,
Yes.
Nishikant has an opinion. Okay, Nish, you can give your.
No, I don't think so. I don't think. I mean, yeah. I mean, in terms of results, yes, but I don't think Grealish really had a good, and he didn't really do much yesterday. It wasn't Grealish. I mean, if we talk our defending was, as good as it has ever been. There was a deflection and a goal that happened, but Grealish or even City, they made some chances, but they didn't really trouble us. But yeah, obviously in terms of result, yes, but Grealish, I wouldn't say had a good game yesterday.
Okay.
Probably Jesus was much better. Rodrigo, Silva, these guys were the ones who were actually doing well.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, I didn't watch.
Grealish was actually put through on goal and it's a chance. One of the keeper interest.
So the reason I was going to ask Gaurav that question, but I'll ask Gaurav this one now, because I think one of the criticisms of Lukaku is always the fact that he doesn't turn up against the big teams. I think that's always been an issue for him throughout his career. I mean, people say that it's kind of changed a little bit, but now he's played 2 games. He played Liverpool. Fair enough, they were down to 10 men, but still he played Liverpool, he played City. Hasn't really done much in either one of them. Is it just a case of, getting back up to speed, or is it just a case of old habits returning or hard to kill for Lukaku?
I mean, it's really hard to say because the way Chelsea set up it on Saturday, it was really hard for him or even Werner because nobody was playing through balls for them. You weren't allowed to run behind the defense, so it will be very harsh to judge him for last game. So I'll keep my verdict with me right now, but I think he'll turn up. He'll be good.
I mean, it was clearly a tactical issue. Lukaku actually did score yesterday, but Havertz was offside.
David,
so,
but
yeah, David. Sorry, still fresh. The wounds are still fresh.
Well,
but yeah,
Lukaku did trouble Laporte.
Yeah,
couple of
yeah, he did. He did trouble Laporte, but the thing was, our passes extremely poor. Kovacic, Kante, Jorginho, neither of them can really pass once in a while, but they are not that kind of.
Isn't Jorginho supposed to be this creative passing midfielder?
Yeah, I mean,
exactly
not like Fabregas passing. He's more like Mikel passing, around, and he can control the system and he's important for us. That's not denying, but his passing are not attack oriented. It's more about control and possession and defense.
Well, no, definitely.
Yeah, so
well, I mean, the injuries are going to be a concern as well. There's a couple of injuries for Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, even N'Golo is not fit. He started, but he was not fit.
Yeah. So anyway, one to keep an eye on. We'll come to our preview for next weekend. We will try to do that, but there's a big Champions League game coming up this week as well that Chelsea have got to be looking forward to. So anyway, we'll talk a little bit about that towards the end, but we'll move on. We'll move on to the next game. We'll talk about United against Aston Villa. Sadly, we don't have a United fan here because so many questions to ask about the direction of the team and all of that. But I mean, you know what? Let's start. I mean, the way that it always works is when you lose, that's when the narratives start to be formed. But Ronaldo is selfish and Bruno is is nervous, or Greenwood is nervous. I mean, yeah, you guys probably didn't watch the game, obviously, because you guys had a bit bigger game to watch. But to me, I mean, it just feels, it just feels that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has now gone defensive first. I think it's almost a case of we'll try to defend. We'll try to keep a clean sheet, and it's probably because their defense is pretty crap, actually. So it's more about let's try and defend, and then we'll try and hit on the break. Gaurav, does that sort of approach, warrant? Can it be successful? I mean, it can obviously be successful, but is that something that you would expect from United, or do you think that they need to be more attacking?
They definitely need to be more attacking. I mean, defense is definitely a big point for United, and if you look at their attacking players, I think they've got a really good squad. If you look at the attacking options, I mean, Aldo up front, and it kind of reminds me of Pellegrini days, when we used to outscore teams most of the time. So I think that would be a better approach for United right now, instead of just sitting back and absorbing the pressure. They are not made for that, I think. They don't have a proper holding midfielder. Even the center backs are times questionable. So that's not the right.
I mean, it's difficult to also say with the midfield. So the thing is, when he played his first 6, choice players, he could say that it was 0-0. Right? It was only when he took off McTominay and brought on a striker, that's when they conceded. And the striker was kind of responsible for the goal as well, because Cavani lost his man. So in a way, he's getting that, but it's also the goal side. Nishikant, the other problem that I see with United is actually the fact people talk about defense, but the real issue is they don't have somebody who can pass in the press. Like they literally, it's hard to play when you play against the press. And teams are pressing high up the field. That's a concern as well. They literally don't have anyone who can do that. Is that something that could be exploited? I mean, particularly the teams that, and I'm going to talk about the teams that are coming up, but it's an issue when you don't have
that can definitely be exploited. That's what happened against to Chelsea. City pressed and we couldn't escape the pressure. We couldn't pass the ball out. So again, if you want to compete for title, and stuff, and you play teams like City, Liverpool, these big names, they all press. You play Arsenal, they press. You play Brentford, they press. So a lot of teams are good at pressing, and that definitely. But if I think of the personnel that you have, Pogba, Sancho, Greenwood, Rashford, he's still injured, is he?
Yeah, Rashford is not going to be back until next month, so he's not around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, but these players are skillful. So these are players with quick feet, and they should be able to get, escape the press. But again, that depends on the tactical system as well. If I didn't watch the game, but with the players, Ole has bought, especially Sancho and Ronaldo. Defense first should not be the strategy, and even that has variations. Defense in itself is not that bad, but if you park the bus and just sit and wait, rather, or you could press quickly and win the ball and attack from there. Different kinds of defense. So how he implements that is up to the manager. And I don't think United fans didn't like how Van Gaal played, didn't like how Mourinho played. So wouldn't be too long before fans turn on Ole if he continues to do what
Well,
he
I
does.
don't think it's long. I think it's already happening.
I think actually United have too many players who don't like to track back, especially the forward press. I mean, Ronaldo's not going to track back. Neither does Bruno. Pogba,
Oh, no. See, Ronaldo actually does track back. I saw him do it once or twice against Villa. So this is a myth. Bruno definitely tracks back, because I've seen him actually be behind, the CDM.
Bruno, I've seen him making tackles as well.
Bruno does tackles. So the players who don't press, Greenwood also tracks back. The problem is not about tracking back. It's that they're just useless when they track back. Like there's no point if you track back just, and then don't make a tackle or just try to create a body, right? Greenwood is not very good at it. Pogba is not very good at it. Fred is obviously useless.
They don't track back in a, as a team. If you see City, how they press, how they close down the spaces, that doesn't happen with United. That is the issue.
No,
that comes from probably manager is not able to, send the message clearly to his players what they need to do.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that could be that as well. The manager is not to send the message. I also feel sometimes Oli thinks that, if you have 6 players or 7 players tracking back, that's enough. And you need to keep 2 or 3 forward for when the ball comes to them, and then they can counter it. Because if everybody tracks back, then, Ronaldo doesn't have the legs to track back and go forward. I think you could say the same for Pogba and Bruno. So, tracking back is good, but I mean, I just feel that that's the way. Again, you can argue that it's not a good strategy. And I'm happy to, to hear that from anyone, but I just feel I'm trying to get into mind of what he thinks of what he's doing. I think you guys didn't see the match, so, but I mean, one of the saddest sights is obviously seeing Bruno. He was shattered when he missed that penalty. I think, I think he knew that Emiliano Martinez got into his head. I think he got it, that Martinez got inside his head, and he just looked like for the next 10 minutes, I think it was 5 minutes or something that they played, and he just looked like, it was weighing on his mind. I don't know how that will affect him mentally, but we will know more about that. Other than that, I mean, some of the notes that I had to make from the game, I think it's quite obvious that the Fred McTominay pairing doesn't, it's not working in terms of I mean, some might say it's working because they kept a clean sheet, as I said, until they went off, but it doesn't look at all good. The one final thing I have question for you, Nishikant, because I think you might be a good person to answer this, is sometimes there's this trepidation around back threes at Manchester United. Like there's always this thing about not playing a back 3 or not playing a back 5. But I just feel that, I don't know, maybe a change of shape is now needed because the 4-2-3-1 doesn't work. And maybe it's time to try a back 3. As a Chelsea fan, you probably know the merits of a back 3 better than anybody else. But do you think United should, or maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should try to explore it at least?
Definitely. And I think, managers have tried that, even if it's just to match our shape when they are playing against us. So people have been trying it. when Conte kind of introduced it with Chelsea, like people weren't really playing. Hardly a team or two you would find with three at the back. When Conte first came with three at the back, a lot of teams tried to emulate them as well. But the thing is, if you do not have the right players, then three at the back becomes a lot defensive because it's basically five at the back. Right? So your wing backs are the ones that need to give you the width. So they need to have that capability of bombing forward and coming back and being to have that kind of final pass, right? Like for example, Reece James, he can bomb forward, come back, and he has that cross in him, a delivery in him that can cause problems. Same with Chilwell. Alonso, now he is doing a bit well. I think his crossing is still, probably Chilwell is better, but then he can score and he can take free kicks, those kind of things, right? So Luke Shaw is a pretty good option that you have. I think that he has been one of your attacking outlet. So and now that he's injured, that I think will be a big loss to United.
Well, but Alex Telles is a natural left wing back. So I mean, the thing is that Alex Telles can play in a back four, but he might be able to play in a back five. But that's just something I find. I mean, Daniel James would have been the perfect right wing back, but he's gone. So I don't know who's going to play on the right. But
because I don't think Van Bissaka is a good wing back material. Maybe you might want to try a forward like
Diogo Dalot
or a winger. Or a wing.
We don't have any right wingers. I mean, Jadon Sancho is probably not wing back material, and I don't think you could play Greenwood there either. So I don't know. Anyway, something worth to think about. The thing you're talking about the Champions League, the reason I say that we're not going to play against Villarreal, who are pretty much draw specialists in La Liga. I mean, they played 10 games and they've drawn 8 of them, or something. That's a really weird stat. But speaking of pressing,
I think 4 games they have finished 0-0 or something.
Yeah, I mean, Real Madrid, they just 2-0 with Real Madrid, of all teams. So I'm not expecting much from that. But to be honest, just talking of pressing, they've got a few teams that are going to come up that are going to press them. But I'm not worried about, there's a team. Liverpool obviously are the obvious ones who are, Villa had a few chances. They could have actually easily won 4-0 or 5-0 if they had better strikers or better conversion. But Liverpool will obviously press high. They've got a good midfield. They've got a good striking force. They will score goals. We'll talk about Liverpool. But more worrying is the team in blue. And it's not City. It's not Chelsea. It's Atalanta that they have to play in a couple of weeks. I mean, I just worry about that game. Atalanta are simply a scoring team. Like, they don't care. They just go forward. I think they're going to eat that midfield alive of Manchester United. So I don't know what's
that could be a dangerous game.
Yeah, those are going to be really bad games. So, but we'll see. And I don't know who's going to come out of it the other end. But anyway, there's also a graphic about 8 games coming up that United have to play. And to be honest, I based on what I saw against Villa, I'll be surprised if they take more than 10 points from those 8 games, to be honest. And I know it's overreaction and pessimism, but the fact is, there are things that need to be sorted, and I don't know if they're going to be sorted. So anyway, we'll move on. We'll move on to other games because we don't want to spend too much time on this. By the way, Leicester City against Burnley, I said pick Jamie Vardy, and he scored 2 goals. And he scored an own goal, but he also scored 2 goals. So you know what? My predictions work. I'm just saying. Jamie Vardy scored. Somebody said he was a liability. He did score 2 goals in that one. But the other one that I want to talk about, Gaurav, Leeds United, they're in trouble. I mean, West Ham are doing well. Antonio scores again. They're back again, but Leeds United are in trouble. They're again another defeat for Bielsa.
Yeah, probably second season syndrome, And I think teams have also found out either how they play, how they set up. So it's easier to counter that. And maybe I think Bielsa asks too much from their players there. I mean, I saw their game at 15-20 minutes, and players were tired in the second half. They were like, they used to play like Liverpool, they closed down a lot and all. That was missing. So maybe relegation contender.
There was some relegation, and that battle is heating up. There's so many teams that have not won yet. Southampton haven't won yet either. Newcastle haven't won yet. Leeds, well, I think Leeds have won already, but I think there's Burnley haven't won either. So the teams there.
Well. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Norwich. Yeah, Norwich, I think, are pretty much a gone case at this point. I honestly don't see a way back for them, but and there's lots of teams that are going to be in that fight. And maybe this
Burnley is a strange one.
Yeah. Well, Burnley, it's just they don't seem like, I think, again, same with Leeds. Their style has probably been found out at this point in the opposite way, that they keep parking the bus. But they did get a draw here against Leicester, which is not a bad result, all things considered. But yeah, they haven't won either. So that's going to be tough. But anyway, we'll talk about Liverpool against Brentford. Now, we said this might be a tricky tie. And so it turned out. I think I predicted 4-0. It turned out to be 3-3. I was just going to say, if I predicted 6, I could have said 6 goals were shared. But it turned out to be 3-3. I mean, Nishikant, we talked about it during the Champions League game as well. There is a defensive problem for Liverpool. They're scoring goals, but they're leaking them at the back as well.
Yeah, Liverpool. I mean, at least in the last game, and I greatly underestimated the propensity of Liverpool to give us a spectacle against newly promoted teams. And I thought this match won't be worth watching. I should have, but from what I watched,
digs there, right? Even though Chelsea lost, you can make those little bit of pin pricks. They're dead by 1,000 cuts or whatever you call it. But anyway.
No. I'm just saying. I mean, that was like very. It's like when the ball was in the box, defenders were scared, at least for all the goals that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt that way, that they were not comfortable, or the connection was not there between players. Something was wrong. But I think Klopp should be able to sort that out. He has his main players available. It's not an injury situation. So I don't really see this being a problem for too long for Liverpool, because they are, and obviously they can continue. They can always score goals, and usually you don't come across a team that's so excited just to be in Premier League that they're giving everything. Last time Leeds did it. This time, like you mentioned, it's taxing. So it's taken a bit out of them, and look at where they are. So it probably is down to just that. Teams, a few mistakes here and there, but I don't really. I'm sure they'll be able to address this, because we have already seen these defenders being really, really good. So.
Mm-hmm. What is it with Liverpool? I mean, we keep talking about Liverpool's midfielders not offering anything. We keep talking about it, but we said it, and now it sounds like all of them taking it as a personal insult, because everybody's like, Harvey Elliott started off well. Naby Keita scored, and now Curtis Jones scores.
What a goal!
Yeah, I mean, it's Gaurav, it's turning out to be like, whatever we say, it's like we probably shouldn't say too many bad things about Liverpool, because they get agitated and they want to do well. But that midfield is contributing. I think that's something that should please Klopp as well. That not just in terms of just the goals, but the fact that they're contributing to the attack.
Yeah, I think they've found the right balance. With Fabinho, Henderson, and Thiago playing, I think it was last season. There was the balance that was missing. No one was driving forward, and they have found that in Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott as well. So that has changed. And I would like to add something about their defense. I think Van Dijk has that mental block right now. When you come back after a big injury and you are scared that it might get aggravated again. And I have always said that I'm a big fan of Alexander-Arnold as an attacker. He's, I think, arguably the best right wing back, but he has always been a liability at times. His positioning is strong most of the times, and I think he gets caught up way too forward at times as well. So
yeah, that's the problem with the entire trend, isn't it? But I mean, I wonder who is the bigger liability. Is it Van Dijk? Is it Alexander-Arnold right now? I mean, that is a question for Klopp. But then again, they don't really have too many options at right back. Unless you put in James Milner, I don't know if you want to put him in. I think you want to keep the faith with Alexander-Arnold. I think the bigger issue probably might be Henderson aging and not being so good, because he's normally the one who covers Alexander-Arnold's runs, and he's not doing that, or not being able to do that. I think final question, Nishikant, for you, I'll ask this. What's the future for Thiago? Because looks like he's a bench player now at Liverpool. And I know we keep, I know that I've seen more of these thumbs up memes. I'm seeing them. Not seeing them, but I mean, it's hard to say. Does he even fit Klopp's? Is he the kind of player that fits Klopp's style? Because he's not much of a presser. He's not much of a runner. He's more of a creator.
I think he's more a Guardiola kind of player than Klopp. That's what I feel at times, because he's that. He's that elegant, what you would call it, like he'll sit back, spray passes around, and that's not really the way Klopp's team play. Right? They are off at the goal. That's the kind of style they have, gegenpressing or heavy metal, whatever they called it.
Yeah, I mean,
so he's probably he's a good midfielder. We have seen that. I think he's just in the wrong setup. I think maybe Klopp either overestimated his ability to, able to coach him into that kind of thing, but because clearly it doesn't look like a player that fits the system. So it's better. I think even now they should be able to recoup some good amount of money. So they should be looking to offload him and buy someone who could actually, like you mentioned, Henderson is aging, and they need someone to cover for Alexander Arnold. So probably invest in a midfielder who can run around, someone like a Rice or something.
Yeah, well, they do have Keita and Elliott, so I don't know if they need another midfielder, but maybe they
I mean, if you sell one, then you gotta have another one for competitive.
Perhaps,
but better go for someone who fits the system.
Well, they did lose a midfielder like that, and then Wijnaldum, who used to do that, he's no longer there. Having some tough time at PSG, but anyway, yeah, I mean that's that.
I mean, he was always going to have tough time at PSG. I don't think he even thought himself that he would be able to break into that starting line. He knew the money was good. Got to sit on the bench, enjoy Paris. Do whatever.
He actually starts games, but it's just he's being asked to do something he can't do, which is being a CDM. He's not a CDM. He's being asked to do that at PSG. Anyway, that's a conversation for another day. We talk about Liverpool. They've got a big game against Manchester City, so we'll be previewing that one next week, just before the international break. How about that one? That'll be a very, very important game. You know what? We'll move on and we'll talk about. We'll talk about we'll go into Sunday. We'll talk about I was thinking there's any other one. Yeah, well, that's just one. I mean, Southampton Wolves finally got a win, so that's good for them. But yes, we'll talk about Arsenal against Tottenham. There's so many things to talk about, from both sides. And actually, people might say I haven't spoken about Brentford yet and Aston Villa yet. I have a question regarding both of those two teams, and I will ask them at the end. I will save that because there's a question that's burning in my mind. We'll talk about this game first and just the context of that. Gaurav, I mean, Adarsh was bigging up Arteta on. I don't know if you guys watched it, but Saturday he was like, give Arteta time. He'll trust the process. He will do it. Has he finally got the team that he wanted? And we've finally seen the results of an Arsenal team that doesn't have injuries, or that of the first 11.
Yeah, both Adarsh and Alex. So Alex said that we'll finally get to see the two Arsenal after the international break, and I think he was right. Yeah. So yeah, I also think said that they are struggling with injuries. Most of their players are injured. They had to play with the 21 players, most of them. Yeah. So yeah, finally getting back in form, and all the players are fit as well. Thomas Partey, I think, is still injured, right?
No, he's back. I think he's back. He's playing. He's back. He's playing. He's the difference maker. I think in that midfield is really holding that. I think he's a player that Arsenal fans thought they were getting, and the kind of player that they probably need. But
Odegaard is also making a difference.
Yeah, I think it's the vision of that. The way that they set up Nishikant was just basically hit on the counter, but it was again same pressing, press high the pitch, win the ball back. Spurs unable to counter that. Is problems for again? I think that if you count the fact that they didn't beat Wolves now, I think that's 4 or 5 games that they've gone winless since those first 3 wins that they got.
They haven't won any game after that.
Since the national break, they haven't won any games. So
9th choice Nuno is what
it was 7th. I think it was 7th. Was it not 9th? It was 7th. I know you're trying to put it in there. It was 7th.
Still, he's not the man to lead Spurs, right? I mean, from his perspective, he's doing well, but like how he has done. But then again, Spurs are not playing to stay up. And I think he's a defensive manager who's being asked to play more expansive football, because yesterday, the way, Tottenham defended, Smith Rowe ghosted past everyone to score the first goal, and no one really even knew or even saw him coming. So they were all over the place for every goal that they conceded yesterday, and even in general. Plus, I think they still don't have. Not only are they bad defensively, they don't have the balance to go into attack either.
Yeah,
Kane got, I think, 1 chance which he missed, and Son got a couple and scored 1. So at this point in time, it looks like their attack is completely dependent on Son. If he scores or if he assists, then something will happen. Otherwise, Kane looks like he has given up. He doesn't want to be there. Right? He doesn't give a rat's ass about what's happening at Spurs anymore. He looks that way. He did try though yesterday, to be fair, but I think his head is gone. So that's why he's playing like the way he's playing.
I mean, there's lots of questions to ask, but because we're kind of short on time, I'll quickly jump into Kane because I think always the narrative when Spurs lose will be around him. Gaurav and Nishikant touched on this. Maybe his head is gone. Maybe he doesn't get rat's ass. I just wonder if there's a power player here because with Kane, because I mean, all talks of professional pride, all talks of being professional. Let's put that to one side. The fact is, he lost a battle that he thought he wanted to win against Levy. He lost it. And now I just wonder if there's a part of him, and he sees Spurs. They're not going to finish in the top 4. They may not even finish in Europe this year. We don't know. Maybe just in the back of his mind, he's just thinking, you know what, I'm just going to play badly and just get myself out of here in January. Even, I mean, he might not even want to wait till the summer. Like, I'm just going to try to get myself out of here in January, because he's still scoring for England. So it's not like he's not scoring goals. He's doing it for England. He's just not doing it for Spurs.
I think the problem, he must be thinking like, will City come for him again? Because, even if you see the January transfer window, after 6 months, Haaland might be available. And Mbappe as well, his contract is ending. Most probably is going to end up at Madrid, but you never know, right?
Yeah.
So if we just
well, I mean, but the thing is, I think I'm reading too much into it.
Otherwise, I'll stink the place.
Yeah, and not just sting the places. Like I can't stay here, and I want to go. And that's
Spurs getting firing the manager with most impressive CV they've ever had just before a final. Firing the manager who literally built the club into something, a probable top 4 contenders. They sacked him, and they get Nuno. So why would really? I don't understand why Son signed a contract, but I don't see Kane being wrong here, even if this is a power play.
Yeah, I mean, again, we talk about professionalism, we talk about all those kind of things. It's just one of the things where I think Kane has realized, and maybe he's taking lessons from Modric, maybe he's learning from Eriksen, about the way things go. But I don't know. But anyway, final question, because I know we're kind of out of time. We've got 2 more questions to do, so I'll ask this one. This one for Nishikant. And I said I'd ask this on confirm. Would you take Michael Antonio? Would you take Ivan Toney? Or would you take Harry Kane as your England striker? Because surely Toney and Antonio deserve it. I don't know, Antonio. I think there's some people are saying that he could still be called up. I know he was called up for the Jamaican team. I don't know if he played, but if he's still eligible for England, you would want, surely, I mean, Kane, you got to pick those, at least one of those 2, Toney or Antonio. Not both.
Because like you said, Kane hasn't stopped scoring for England. He has been scoring. So Kane definitely has enough credits in the bank that he will still be selected for England squad. He's a captain. So he's the captain. Yeah. So he will be selected for sure. But I don't know if, like you said, Antonio, whether he's eligible or not, or if he has represented another country. But if not, he should be the obvious choice, because I think Ivan Toney is still kind of, he's a good attacker, operates well in a, I think kind of would probably operate well in a front 2. But, let's see how it goes. I mean, he's just coming up from championship, and it's been 6 games. That's all that there have.
Well, Antonio is not eligible, so he's already played for Jamaica, so he's out of the question. But
so between Ivan Toney and Harry Kane, Harry Kane is obvious. Yeah, Danny Ings should be then.
Yeah,
because he's an experienced striker in Premier League and has always done well, has managed to consistently hit double digits every season, right? So he's definitely he's going to be a good choice.
Yeah, I mean, anyway,
I think Abraham is doing well, by the way, in Roma. So
Tammy there's another one there as well, Tammy Abraham as well. I just wonder if Harry Kane deserves to start for England, at least for this upcoming World Cup qualifiers. I think maybe he needs to not start, but I don't know. Southgate doesn't really strike me as a very brave, bold manager. So unless it comes to dropping, wingers,
the trust he shows in players paid off, right? I mean, he showed trust in Sterling, and he was one of the best performers in.
Yeah, I mean, yes, he's very trusting, but when it comes up, it comes up. Anyway, we'll come to the final question, which we always do. We'll start with you, Gaurav. Who was your player of the weekend?
Very tough, actually, because there were a lot of, I think, 8 and 9 out of 10 performance. But I think definitely the highlight of the week was Arsenal winning against, I think, maybe Odegaard.
Okay, Odegaard. All right, Nishikant.
You can pick any Manchester City player. But I think Rodri and Silva, it's tough between those two for me, because I think they did really well. Pivotal in why City won. So yeah, and Arsenal also played well. Gaurav mentioned Odegaard. I thought Smith Rowe was pretty good against Tottenham, so he deserves a mention. Got a very beautifully worked goal as well, and was involved in their attacking chances. So.
Yes, well, that definitely makes sense as well. So we got Odegaard from Gaurav, and from Nishikant we got Rodri. Or did you pick Bernardo? Wait.
Let's say Rodri.
Rodri. Yeah, that's your final answer. So there's no prizes here. We're just asking people for opinion. You know what? I will say that the player of the weekend for me is Bruno Fernandes. And I said player. I never said best or worst player. So for me, Bruno Fernandes, just for his miss, is my player of the weekend. Not in a sad way. He actually had a pretty good game, to be honest, but just that penalty was just he allowed Martinez to get into his head. I think that's just what it was. He allowed it to happen because he never takes penalties that way. He doesn't do it, and he just let it. So for me, that's for that. In a bad way, player of the weekend is Bruno Fernandes. The negative opinion. But anyway, on that note, thank you so much, Nishikant. Thank you so much, Gaurav, for this very truncated session. I know we missed a lot of things that we need to talk about, but time is short, and we've got a big Champions League game coming up this week as well. So we'll be here with the review show for that on Thursday. We'll do that as well. Some big games to look forward to again. There's actually some crisis stories from other leagues as well that we haven't been able to cover, but maybe during the Champions League we'll be able to cover that. But thank you so much, Nishikant. Thank you so much, Gaurav, for joining me.
Guys. Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks,
yes, have a great thank you so much for watching this one. If you did enjoy it, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and also share your comments and what you think of the games. And we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.